ambaye yuko kwa radio na nasimama pande ya Lang'ata. Naona pia Jenga Mongai, mzee wa kazi, anatoka hapa. Na pia tuko na Kanini Kega, tunaelewana. Na tuko na Dr. Stanley hapa. Tuko na mjumbe kutoka pande ya Lamu anaitwa Modhama. Na niko na senator kutoka Narok anaitwa Ladema, si ndio? Na pia mjumbe wa vijana anaitwa Babu. Wapi nduru ya Babu? Asante. Pia tuko na senator kwa Mboka, yuko pale, na pia Dr. Gogo ambaye amekuja hapa. Sasa tumekuja hapa kwa sababu ya Azimio. Sema Azimio. Sema Azimio. Tukisema Azimio unasema inawezekana. Azimio. Baba, inawezekana. Tunaelewana? Sasa mimi nilikuwa hapa karibu wiki tatu zimeisha, na mkaniambia nilete baba. Si ni kweli? Na kwa sababu baba ni kiongozi wa ahadi, akasema lazima apitie hapa. Muko tayari kumsikiza? Muko tayari kumsikiza? Na pia niseme hivi, Nene gatuge haria turi. Twerekeire githurano kia mweri wa kanana, na rugendo rwa rucio rubangagwo ri. Ithuĩ tũraugire tũkwenda gũthiĩ na mũthuri ũrĩa ũtegũtũteng'eria ta mũithikiri wa kũiywo. Tũraiguithania atũtware kahora tũthi tũkĩaragia, arore indo citũ na andũ aitũ. Tunaelewana? Na wameshikana na Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ili tupeleke kazi mbele. Sasa nawaomba, pia kuna aspirants wengi hapa. Naona iko Senator Mwangi hapo, Rasta pale. Wish you well, you are part of the Jubilee family. Tuko na Senator anaitwa Mwalimu Gashohi, na pia tuko na Junet Mohamed ambaye ndiyo general wetu katika Azimio. Niko na Honorable Kevin ambaye pia naomba kiti kupitia Jubilee. Kuna wengi hata Karanja wakili na wabunge pia ambao wanaomba, Mrs. Mongai. Sasa wapi nduru ya baba? Wapi nduru ya baba?
Haya. Elbagon we. Vijana we. Wamama hai. Asanteni sana. Baba amekuja. Una furaha? Hata baba ana furaha kufika Elbagon. Hapa Elbagon nilianza kukuja zamani nikiwa mtoto mdogo. 1958 nilikuwa hapa. Wakati mimi mtoto mdogo, ndugu yangu mdogo alisema hapa Mchinda hapa. Sawa. Na baadaye mara nyingine nimekuja hapa na Kenneth Matiba. Wakati ya siasa kali. Wakati ya Nyayo. Unajua haya? Wakati nilikuwa kusema ngwe ndani. Tumerudi sasa. Baba leo amekuja kupiga mbio na mgambo. Mbio na mgambo ikilia kuna jambo ni ya kwamba kumepambauka. Kumekucha. Jogoo shawika mara 3. Amkweni tuende kazi. Sawa. Harakati ya ukombozi wa 3 wa Kenya umeanza. Sawa. Ukombozi ya kwanza ilileta uhuru. Ya pili ilileta katiba mpya. Ya tatu ya mwisho ni ya kiuchumi. Na ni ya vijana. Vijana mko tayari? Mko tayari? Baba ako tayari kukuwa na nyinyi pamoja. Tunataka tupambana na madai wetu 3 makubwa: ugonjwa, ujinga na umaskini. Sawa. Tumetangaza vita. Hapa eneo hii nyinyi ni wakulima. Katika ulimwengu mzima wakulima wana furaha. Ukienda Amerika wakulima wako na furaha, hata Ulaya. Lakini hapa kwetu wakulima wana huzuni, sio? Pande moja kuko wakulima wa mboga, kuna wakulima wa viazi, kuna wakulima wa pareto, sio? Kuna wale ambaye walikuwa wanakata bao kule kwenye kichaka, sio? Na hiyo ilipiga marufuku, sivyo? Sio imeleta ufukara sasa hapa, sivyo? Mimi nimesema mambo ya kichaka, mambo ya biashara ya bao tutafufusha. Bao ikiwa kama ile miti imekomaa inakatwa, nyingine inapandwa, sio? Sivyo? Nataka mkae kimya kidogo kwanza. Kaeni kimya kwanza. Nataka mkae kimya. Hello? Nataka mkae kimya, wengine wasikie yale mimi nasema. Hiyo biashara tutafufusha, sawa? Kama tunaenda kwa debe, nitamwambia Uhuru afungulie watu msitu waingie huko, waanze kukata msitu, sawa sawa. Nimesema vile vile tutarudisha bei ya mbolea chini kutoka 6,000 mpaka 2,000. Serikali itafanya subsidy ili wakulima wapate afueni, waweze kupata riziki yao kulingana na jasho yao, sawa? Tunajenga kiwanda ya kusafisha na kuhifadhi mboga na hata ile viazi ambayo inatoka kwa mashamba yenu, sawa sawa, na kutafuta soko mzuri. Hayo yote tutafanya. Halafu tumesema vile vile kwa upande ya elimu, watoto wetu wote, hata kama wale wazazi wao hawana pesa, watapata fursa sawa kwa upande elimu, kuanzia nursery, primary, secondary, tertiary mpaka chuo kikuu, sawa sawa, kwa elimu. Na kumaliza elimu, baada ya kusoma sawa sawa, watapata kazi wa maana pale ambao wanaweza kupata riziki, kuinua hali yao ya kimaisha, sio kazi ya kusukuma wheelbarrow. Mnataka wheelbarrow? Mnakataa wheelbarrow? Wangapi mmekataa wheelbarrow? Nione kwa mkono mwenu. Sawa. Wale ambao wanataka kuanza biashara yao wenyewe watapata mkopo kutoka kwa hazina ya serikali na walipi chochote mpaka baada ya miaka 7. Sawa? Mnaunga mkono? Mnaunga mkono? Kwa upande mwingine, upande ya matibabu, watu wetu wengi wanapata shida kwa matibabu, manake hawana pesa ya kulipa. Wengine wanafukuzwa kwa hospitali, atakuwa na pesa ya kuweka deposit. Wengine wameshikwa mateka ndani ya hospitali, mpaka pesa ilipwe ndio watoke. Saa nyingine maiti imeshikwa tekwa nyara katika mortuary, mpaka pesa ilipwe ndio ifunguliwe, sio? Sina aibu. Suluhisho inaitwa Baba Care. Semeni Baba Care. Baba Care. Baba Care. Baba Care. Wana Kenya wote, watoto, vijana, wasichana, wamama, wazee, watakuwa katika ile bima ya matibabu. Wale ambao hawezi kulipa italipwa na serikali, ili wakiwa wagonjwa watapata matibabu bila malipo, sawa sawa. Mnaunga mkono? Wangapi wanaunga mkono? Alafu halo vijana, pole kidogo, pole kidogo hapa, pole kidogo, weka mabango chini mkamili. Kuna Wakenya wengine wa mama ambao wao ndio ni mama tena wao ni baba, wamepoteza mabwana yao. Mwingine bwana alifariki, yeye ni mjane. Mwingine walioana na wakawachana na bwana talaka. Mwingine alidanganywa na kijana ati nakupenda, nitakuoa lakini tufanye kazi. Baadaye kijana akatoroka, sio? Yeye sasa amebaki yeye ndio mama, yeye ni baba. Hawa mama wanahangaika sana. Na watoto wanapata shida mingi hata kwa pale elimu, sio? Hawa mama tutaweka special program, watapata msaada kutoka kwa serikali. Sawa sawa? 4. Halo, wale wafukara ambaye hawana chochote kwa jamii, hakuna mtu ana mapato yoyote, kila mwezi tutaleta social protection program pale, ambayo hiyo wale wa familia watapata kutoka kwa serikali kila mwezi shilingi 6,000. Mnaunga mkono? Wangapi naunga mkono? Nione kwa mkono. Wangapi naunga mkono? Wale wa Tanga wanasema baba anadanganya watu ati hakuna pesa. Nimesema mimi najua pale pesa iko. Sawa sawa? Nitaziba yale mianya ambayo wao wanapenya naye kuingia kwa hazina zetu na kuiba pesa zetu. Mtapata pesa ya kutosha ya kumudu hii mpango. Sawa sawa? Mnaunga mkono? Baba endelee, siendelee? Endelee, siendelee? Wangapi watapiga kura kwa baba? Mimi tulishikana na Uhuru Kenyatta. Sasa leo mimi naleta salamu kutoka kwa Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Mnapokea? Mnapokea? Tumeungana pamoja. Wangapi kwenu hapa wako tayari kwa wanajeshi wa baba? Wangapi wako tayari kwa wanajeshi wa baba? Kwa wanajeshi wa baba mpaka uwe na bunduki na risasi. Sawa? Bunduki ni kitambulisho, risasi ni kura. Sawa? Tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 baba kama amiri jeshi mkuu atatoa amri alfajiri akisema forward march, about turn, fire, fire, vijana 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 fire. Asanteni sana.
The biggest issue that is on the ballot is the democracy of our nation and whether we truly have the opportunity to make free choices devoid of blackmail, threats, and intimidation. The country is deep in discussion about our democracy, the status of our democracy, the threat to our democracy, and the freedom of choice that people can choose freely without blackmail, intimidation, threats, which in the life of a nation sometimes become part of the hurdles that we have to go through. We are looking forward to the partnership of friends and people of goodwill, and America has always been a partner and a friend and has stood with us during the good and the bad times, always in Kenya. And together with other members of the international community, we are looking forward to working together in that endeavor. In fact, if you understand a bit of Kiswahili, that's what informs the current push by many Kenyans to say hatupangwingwi, meaning we want to make our choices without being choreographed or chaperoned or blackmailed or intimidated. There is a feeling that our economy has been captured and curtailed and brokered and become exclusionist. And that's why our push is that we must democratize our economy, make it inclusive, bring everybody on board.
Deputy President William Ruto spoke in Maryland yesterday in the U.S. and of course very serious claims on vote rigging that has been captured by the Daily Nation on page 6 and also on page 8 of the Standard. Senator Wamatangi, let me begin with you. Yes. When you listen to the Deputy President on a foreign land, of course, those are things that he has said on the campaign trail previously. No. But what do you think of it being said to foreigners in that situation?
Well, definitely expresses views, and as you've correctly said, that he has expressed previously in the past. And in context, and I've read what is captured in the Daily Nation. Mm-hmm. I think the aspiration, in my view, at the end of the day, is we want to have results that we can hold our institutions, the players, on account to. You know, in the form that at the end of the day, when you talk about a free and fair process, that it must be also captured in the results. And, you know, one thing that we cannot afford to play games about is the essence and the importance and, you know, reflecting on the consequences of what happens if we do not have a process that at the end of the day leads to an outcome that we can all uphold and say that this is an outcome that has been arrived at as a result of a process that we have all played by the rules, you know, to the dot. The reason I say that, Sam, is because it is easy in a situation like this to apportion blame or to want to point fingers or to want to create a scenario whereby we want to blame either this person or the other one or the other one. But at the end of the day, and I believe that that's probably what he was trying to say, is that we must have a result and a process that will give us what we want. And ultimately it is peace. It is a country that we can hold together and that we can live in. That's the end of the day. That's the important thing. Remember, Sam, this thing that you're seeing now, you know, the political hype, the campaigning, and all these things, the negotiations and coalition building, this is a process and a spectacle that only lasts for a few months. Come October this year, this whole thing will have died down. But we'll find ourselves again, you know, trying to find our space as a country with what we used to do, with our children wanting to go to school, with our mothers at home, you know, families that we have to take care of, a government that we have to run, people that we have to feed, an economy that we must uphold. Those are the realities. And you know, unfortunately, when it comes to electioneering time, this seems to evaporate from our vision and our memory. And the only thing we can see is the spectacle itself, and finger pointing and name calling and blaming one another. And I believe, you know, if we were to be fair at the end of the day, in whatever we are saying, I think what he was trying to capture is really the aspiration of everybody, that can we have at the end of the day a result? And we have been victims before. We have been victims. We have suffered as a country in 2007, in 2002, in 1992, in 1997. And you know, what I find myself uncomfortable to do is to sidestep and step on a certain pedestal whereby I want to look like, because I belong to this particular coalition or particular group, that I want to, you know, blame somebody or make them look bad at the expense of upholding what is true, what is eternal, and what we are going to live with. And so, personally, I just want to be very, very clear that I think some of the things he's saying is really what all of us want. We want a fair process. We want a result that we can live with.
That
we do not want to get back to a situation whereby we are going to be saying that we want to go to mend fences, to invite people to come from outside and come and try to put us back together because we got it wrong. We are saying we want to get it right. And because it was the Deputy President saying it,
right,
and he's a major player,
yes,
we would be saying also to him that it behooves him to also make sure that those things that he said, indeed he plays by those rules, and make sure that on his side, that is precisely what he's going to do, so that we can have exactly the process.
That's what I'm asking, Senator, because when you look at the preparations for the election being conducted by IEBC,
yes,
and what other agencies are doing, do you see a situation that would put the country's democracy at risk so far?
Well, you know, Sam, there have been a lot of questions. First, we started questioning even on the preparedness of the IEBC, and I believe a situation whereby IEBC itself will have to consistently be coming out and telling Kenyans that we are still on course, that things have been done right, we've done our procurement, we are ready for the elections, and this is where, an update, whereby Kenyans do not want an ambush. Remember, last time we started talking about hurried procurement processes, whereby things were being procured and technology was being brought in the last hour, such that we could hold an election that was accountable. And what it gave us was a result whereby it was the humility of the winning team, the president himself, and his deputy then, William Ruto, who agreed that though we have won the election, that we have to agree to bow down and go to a re-election.
Okay.
So as a situation they would have, failed to accept. And so what you're saying is that in this kind of case, Sam, whereby we are talking about the security, the safety, the well-being of our country and our future, we cannot afford to be partisan about this.
All right.
Everybody must speak the same language.
I hear you.
This is precisely what we want.
I hear you. Senator Cherargei, what for you would be the concern so far on the preparations for the election and, of course, the political season that you're in, that you see this is actually a threat, that the will of the people will not be attained on August 9?
I want to say, I've said severally, and I've even been quoted before, that election preparedness is very important. And I want to just commend what my brother has just said, that preparedness of IEBC is very important. I think the issue of funding has been very critical. You have seen IEBC indicating that they don't have sufficient funds to prepare. Although they are continuing to recruit the CEO, and then when I was the chair, there was a push and pull between the CEO and the chairman. There was also internal fights, and we tried proposing in the law to have that the chairman be in charge, as opposed where the CEO and the chairman were like co-sharing the powers within the IEBC. Secondly, I think what the Deputy President said in the US is of any concern to any leader. We want free and fair elections in the country. It is the prayer of every Kenyan. We want the right person to be declared the winner, not the wrong person. Number two is the Deputy President has said before, and that is why we have challenged his opponents to do. He has said two things. One, that no Kenyan blood should be spilled on account of politics. Number two, he has said in a free and fair contest, he will accept the results of the general elections in 2022. And number four, it is even in the public domain. You have seen the President of the Republic, our beloved President, the President we supported. We voted 2013, we voted in 2017 A and B. We have been supporting his agenda until hijacking happened to the government in 2018. President Uhuru himself has taken sides. He is the one in charge of preparing the security apparatus, engaging government agencies. He has already declared that if an election is called today, all government machineries and himself will support Raila Odinga for presidency. It is a cause for concern for any competitor.
What was the declaration for government machinery made?
Of course, the fact, when President Uhuru talks, he doesn't talk as Uhuru. He talks as the head of state. There is no difference.
So how do you
differentiate if Uhuru works to this studio,
and as the president?
If Uhuru works to this studio, is an institution, is the symbol of the presidency. Uhuru is not a person, is the state.
But
so the fact that did you see when he was going to NDC, he was using he was not using his private car. He was using state resources. So you want to tell me when Uhuru will be campaigning for Raila in, for example, in Nyeri, he will be using his personal vehicles? No.
The question I'm asking, is it possible to really say that the president has pledged the government machinery to campaign for? Can he even do that legally?
Of course, legally he can do, but the fact that the government vehicles of his entourage, in fact you saw Sagana 3 and my brother Kimani Wamatangi was there as the Senate Majority Whip. Of course, to support, he was there because by the virtue of the position he holds in government. Any arrangements that were being done on the state ground, that was a political event. But if you go and check the books of State House, and that is why State House is demanding for 1 billion, you saw in the budget proposals that was in Parliament, is that he was holding a meeting of Sagana 3, not on issues of government, but to push a political narrative where he was even saying that he's supporting an individual. Second, and I want finally, is that you have seen even cabinet ministers, although they have gone mute nowadays, I don't know what happened. Maybe they will not get a chance in the next government. CS Fred Matiang'i, ICT Joe Musheru, they have gone on a mute, which is okay. But before, they have declared that they will support Azimio presidential candidate. And you know this meeting, and that is why as we were questioning the role of the CJ in sitting in a preparation committee that they were trying to appoint, that outfit is very legal. Because the same CJ will come, the same CJ will come and listen
to the petition.
To the petition of president, but is now sitting on the same preparation committee saying we want to plan for the general election. So the upshot in this argument of the deputy president, and I've seen our opponents blowing out of proportion, saying, but US has been a partner. And other countries have been funding IEBC. They have been supporting us, and I don't think there is a problem for calling for a free and fair elections. It is anybody's guess, and therefore what the deputy president said, if any presidential candidate should be saying, but the bottom line is that this country belongs to all of us.
Okay.
And that is why we want the government agencies to be neutral in this process.
I want to read a quote that has been cited by the Daily Nation on page 6